Hey you guys, welcome back to Michael Clarida Arts. Today we're gonna have some fun. I always like having fun in these videos. You guys know that I've reviewed a lot of products in the past, but at the end of the day, this channel really is about art creation, whether it be traditional or digital. So today we're gonna do a little bit of traditional art creation through the use of a product that was sent to me by a company by the name of Fuumuui. If those of you who are out there that have never heard of Fuumuui, as myself, I've never heard of Fuumuui in my life, they make paintbrushes and traditional paintbrush accessories for oil, acrylic, watercolor, and everything in between. They reached out to me and they said, hey, we like your channel, we like the way you do things, and we'd love to send you a set of our brushes to review. Create a video for us, draw something, and just do an overall review of the product we send you. And I was like, absolutely. And then I did give a preface whenever I responded to them saying that, you know, traditional art takes a little bit of time. At the end of the day, it would be a slight delay before I get the video out. Of course, this is around Christmas time, the end of the year, and that is something that also kind of lends itself to delays, right? Holidays. But that being said, I still love doing traditional art. And so what we're going to do is there's no real unboxing. They sent the brushes. The brushes come in this right here. This is a kind of like a travel companion. I've got something similar to this, and I've had it for close to 26 years, right? This right here, you can see my existing brush pack. You can tell that I really didn't need any brushes. This is, that's my traditional brush palette. I've used these brushes for acrylic, for oil, for watercolor, but primarily in a mural capacity. So I also do traditional murals, and I've done so for years and years, you know, for private clients. And also I did about 15 to 16 murals for Florida Hospital. So that's to give you context and letting you understand that I'm just not coming at this from a layman's standpoint. I have a lot of experience as it pertains to acrylic, oil, and application of paint. So that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to look at what they sent me. This particular set, I'm pulling them up on the internet, they have a really nice website. I went and can't multitask, right? I went to their website, and you can see that they've got just a myriad of pictures for this particular unit. You can order directly from their website, and they also provided me with links and discount codes that'll be down in the description for this particular set. Now, this particular set is right here, is the 25-piece brush set, and it comes with 2 wide flat brushes, 1 palette knife, and it is ideal for enthusiasts of acrylic, oil, watercolor, and gouache. That's a fun word to say, isn't it? Gouache? Gouache. What's really cool about these is not only the price point at $29.99 retail for 25 brushes. I want you to put that into your brain for a second. You know, this brush right here from my set, just to give you context, right? This brush right here is about 50 bucks. Just one brush, okay? And then we come to some of the other traditional brushes, like the Sable Lines and some of the Filberts and stuff. This one, I think, retailed for $35. And when you start getting into some of the natural brushes, I mean, you can pay $150, $200, $300 for one brush, for a natural brush. Natural being something like horsehair or hog hair or sable or something along those lines that really should last the test of time. And I say that because these brushes are synthetic. Synthetic being probably some type of acrylic polymer, some type of plastic, some type of, synthetic material that is man-made. I love traditional work, and it is something that I was trained in when I went to art school back, back in the early days of blah, 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 blah. And, that's kind of where I started in painting. Previous to that, I had done many, many commissions before I went to art school. So, at the end of the day, I have, like I said, a little bit of experience whenever it comes to understanding what makes a good brush and what makes kind of a so-so brush. So I'm looking at these, and it says natural wood handles, which is also important because some of the plastics over time, they don't stand the test of time. They don't work very well. Just from their website at $30, I think at $30, even if you were to just buy this, right, and have it as a standby, or if you just want to experiment, $30 is a great price point for you to get into painting. Now, you have to add the paint aspect of it, right? So you have the brush side, then you have the paint side, and you have different types of paints, you have different saturations, you have different companies that are making them, and we're not going to get into that today. But as far as brushes go, I think $30 for this particular set is really decent, and it even comes with a carrying case. So let's go ahead. We're going to open them up. We're going to look at them, and then we're going to do a really quick watercolor painting. You guys know how I love watercolor. I say that with squinty eyes because, like I said, I'm a traditional acrylic and oil painter. I've delved a little bit into watercolor here and there, but it is something that I've always endeavored to do, and we're just going to have some fun today, right? That's what art is all about, especially, whenever I'm doing reviews. I like doing reviews and getting out of my comfort zone. So what this particular set includes, we have your traditional wide flat brushes. That's for large areas, right? You fill in large areas. You have a filbert, which kind of looks like it's kind of tapered like this. Then you have the round, which goes to a tip. Then you have the flat. Obviously, that's a flat brush, right? Cat tongue. That's an interesting name. Then you have a dagger, an angle, a rigger, and a fan brush. Fan brushes are well known in the world for creating really great foliage and texture. You can put them, use them for texture. I used them whenever I was doing murals. I did a lot of animals, and I did a lot of fur, and I did a lot of, foliage and brush and stuff like that. And fan brushes were really good for that. And creating grass, you can create really incredible grass, blades and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and look at the brushes really quick and examine them under a microscope. I'm just kidding. The proverbial microscope. So we're going to look at them before we go ahead and use them, because once I start painting, I'm going to do a time lapse. And then I'll probably do some narration and stuff over it. So just to give you context. All right, so let's go ahead and get started in reviewing the Fuumuui, Fuumuui, 25-piece paintbrush set for professionals, enthusiasts, and hobbyists. And of course, I'm going to be applying this to a watercolor block that is like paper that's sandwiched on top of each other. You could use these brushes, obviously, and knife. You can use a palette knife. Obviously on canvas, you can use it on masonite. You can use these on pretty much anything that you would use standard paintbrushes on. And I'm going to stick to these paintbrushes, even though I have probably about 70 other paintbrushes. I don't want to compare these to those side by side. I want to give a professional opinion, just like if I were to come to these like you guys are coming to them, maybe as an enthusiast. And hopefully we'll come out on the other side with a smile on our face. All right, so let's get started. Okay, and here is I don't know what to call this, a case, a sachet case. I really don't know, but it is very well made. I ended up buying one of these, and I think I paid like $25 just for the case by itself. This one obviously comes in your set when you purchase it, and these are designed, it says on their website, to be a real workhorse, which means being synthetic, they're designed to stand up to repeated use, repeated washes, beatings, right? whenever you clean a brush or if you put it in different solvents, right? Brushes go through a very hard life. And what I'm doing over here on the right-hand side is I'm looking to see if they have any other kind of any other kind of descriptions pertaining to this. And of course, this is made of renewable material, this canvas bag, and it doesn't have a certain smell to it. A lot of times you'll get stuff in that has a smell and it doesn't smell good. And I'm sure that at the end of the day, if it really does get stained, since it is made of canvas, you could probably just wash it. This is a nice little touch whenever they put plastic right here. So whenever you close the case itself, if you put your brush in here and it's slightly damp or wet, it's not going to stain and make your case look like this. Like I said, I've had this for probably over 25 years, and this is, although good, it definitely, you can see, has been traveling and, gosh, everywhere. It's been all over Florida. It's been quite a few places. But the Fuumuui case definitely has been well thought out, and it's got a place for every single brush in the set. Additionally, whenever you receive these brushes in, they do come in these plastic sleeves, again, I'm sure, so it doesn't damage any of the bristles. And overall presentation is very top-notch. So I'm looking at the wood right now. It's not too heavy. I can't even surmise what type of wood this is. It's very lightweight. I would probably think it's pine. I'm not really sure. It just says natural wood, classic, high-end, and durable. These are words used a lot of times to describe products that come either from China or Malaysia or Japan or some of those other areas. They put in keywords like durable, magical, super, excellent, efficient. All of these things are used to describe their products. And this is a plastic handle. That's fascinating. So a plastic handle on the knife looks chrome vanadium, or maybe even stainless steel. This might be stainless steel. I don't see any gaps or anything like that. And a lot of times whenever you get a knife in, you can move it like this and you'll get a little bit of play, but in this particular instance I don't see any play. And it's got a number on here listed because there are different sizes of palette knives, and this of course is a number 3 for those of you who are not educated in the area of brushes. I'm sure this has to pertain to millimeters. 50 millimeters will come over here, 35 millimeters. And again, the brushes are flat. Now I'm used to a little bit more of a round brush, but in this context it looks completely milled flat, and it doesn't have any bowing or any tapering. Well, it tapers to an end right here, but it doesn't have any bowing out, so it gives you a little bit of grip. I would like to see a little bit more wood and it sculpted a little bit better than just a flat plane, because whenever I'm brushing like this, I like to have, again, a little bit of girth on the end there, and maybe even a hole, right? You can, if I look, I was going to say it looks like there was a hole there, but there wasn't. I don't actually, no. I'd like to see a hole there, because a lot of times I use brushes and I don't keep them in the case. I'll put them on a little tack or a pin, and having the brush hang like this would be nice. But at the end of the day, I understand why they didn't do that. Production costs. So let's look at the brushes overall. So we have different sizes. Obviously, looking at the fan brush, what I like to do, and here, this is how you can also understand quality. Whenever you see the crimping right here is really indented into the wood, and I'm not getting any movement, because over time what happens is I'm painting, and I'm not thinking of the brush itself. I'm always thinking of the artwork that I'm doing, and you know, sometimes I might push a little bit harder in the creation process, and that will actually loosen some of these, you know, the barrel sleeve right here coming into the end. Now, just feeling these right now, being a synthetic brush, it's very soft, and that's also important to note, because whenever you're painting, you don't want to have the paint hang up on the brush. If you have a really coarse brush or you have artifacts in the bristles, you're going to get a hang up, and it's very soft. I mean, I anticipate this being a very, very nice experience. Again, we come back to the you know, like the flat here at 12 millimeter, and we have the tempo printing on the shaft of the brush itself. I do like the staining. I would think that whenever I'm using, hopefully they used a stain that doesn't have water soluble things, capabilities properties because I wouldn't want that to wear off or bleed onto my hand. And also, just looking at this, I do see a bristle right here that has come through. In the process, it's either a bristle or somebody's hair. It doesn't feel like a bristle. It actually feels like somebody's like a human hair or a piece of lint or something that's come out in the manufacturing process. Just again, that spring, I want the brush bristles to have a spring to them, right? I don't want them to be willy-nilly and fly in the direction that I'm painting and not bounce back. So I can already tell this is decent quality, good quality, and we're going to go ahead and continue on. Just in the presentation, I give this definitely an A+, in terms of presentation. Whether or not the brushes will stand the test of time, obviously there might have to be a follow-up review, maybe in a year, because it's hard for me to ascertain and determine the quality of a product unless I use it, a lot. And, it's very easy with computers because you can get a really good feel of how a computer is whenever you first use it. And brushes, obviously, if they're quality, they're going to last. And a lot of times you'll only see one crimp. So I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to go to my existing brush set. So like this brush right here. Actually, a lot of them. So that has 2 crimps, 2 crimps, 2 crimps. Most of the brushes, that has 3 crimps. 3 crimps here, 2 crimps here. It looks like they... Let's go ahead and do another brush here. 1, 2 crimps, 1, 2 crimps. So they're staying pretty consistent. I know whenever you get to the bigger brushes, again, they have 2, some of them have 3. But overall, I think in terms of fit and finish and quality, these are going to work out very well going forward. So let's go ahead and get our watercolor blocks set up. We're going to do a really quick sketch, and then we're going to start applying color using the Fuumuui 25-piece brush set for professionals and enthusiasts. Let's get started. Okay, so here's my setup. I've got my watercolor blocks sitting on a laptop stand or general sketchbook stand. And we're going to do a really quick rendering of a face portrait 3/4 view. I typically like to sketch with a blue line pencil, and then afterwards we'll start using the Fuumuui brushes, the brush set, to go ahead and start the color process. But I wanted to again give you context, right, and how my process works. So hopefully everybody is enjoying and had a fantastic holiday season. I live up here in the very north part of Georgia, up in the Appalachian Mountains, and we had a lot of rain. Rain, 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 rain's no fun, right? So yeah, just enjoying the holiday season is something that I love to do. And in terms of getting stuff for Christmas, this was a very, very nice blessing, the fact that Fuumuui sent this over for me to review. Because even though I have a lot of brushes, they are old, and I haven't purchased brushes because, you get to that point, especially whenever it comes to art supplies, and, you're like, no, I got plenty of brushes. But definitely want to give a big shout out to Fuumuui for providing these to review. Just a simple sketch today. We're not going to get too complex with stuff. All right, again, giving you context of how my workflow is. I like to sketch things out, and then afterwards, if I decide to do pen and ink or anything like that, I can apply that before we go to watercolor. Like I said, we will be doing watercolor today. Something that I have a lot of experience in, but I don't keep up with it. And it's just like anything else pertaining to the art field. Whenever you don't sew into something and you don't do it every single day, whenever you get back into it, having that learning curve and that muscle memory come back is something that, a lot of people can get frustrated with, especially, whenever they first start. You know, maybe you used to do painting or whatever, and then you get back into it and you're like, why can't I do the things I used to do? Well, you don't really forget, but getting back into it takes just a hot moment. So if you see me kind of struggling, which I might struggle, you know, I don't mind struggling, then you'll know why. I draw every day, so this is like old hat to me, doing stuff like this. The muscle memory and stuff like that. It's funny, whenever I draw traditionally, a lot of times I'll feel my left hand. You can feel that tingle in your left hand. You're like trying to undo, right? Because I do so much digitally that occasionally my left hand will click in and try to undo. I'm like, oh, undo. I don't know if anybody else has had that situation, but I sure as heck have. So we're kind of doing kind of like an old farmer. I live, like I said, in the very north part, rural parts of Georgia. So you come here and it's like coming back in time, right? Coming back to maybe the mid 80s, because, you know, you look around, you see some really old soda machines and you know, there's farms everywhere and there's tractors and it's just a very rural part of the United States. I mean, originally I used to live in Orlando, and, you know, of course, Orlando being a tourist hotspot, you know, I didn't really have the opportunity to quote unquote slow down. And, you know, me working at the studio, because I worked at Disney, and, you know, I worked with Universal Studios and Warner Brothers and stuff, having that constant being on, it definitely started to wear on me. And then eventually we just got to the point where we're like, you know what, let's just move. And my wife got an opportunity to move, and so that's what we did. Okay, so now the sketch is just about done. I'm just going in and working some of those areas out. Yeah, try to get his mouth right here. Using some hard shapes. Now, I will not be using any Frisket, which is typically used Frisket or masking film or anything like that for my watercolor. So it's going to be a little messy today, which is completely fine. I don't mind a little bit of a mess here and there. Right now, I'm just going in and working out some of those final details with regards to the drawing. Believe it or not, I see a lot of people similar to the person that I'm drawing where I live. It's not as secluded as it used to be, but overall, if you were to come here, you'd be like, well, where do you shop? Well, you got to go a little further to shop. What do you do for fun around here? Well, we hike. We enjoy nature. Right? Which a lot of people these days just don't, you know, not going glamping. You know, you can glamp here, but it doesn't make any sense to me. If you're going to go camping, actually go camping in the woods, or, you know, a lot of people hunt around here, which is completely fine. I mean, if you want to hunt, that's fine, just as long as you are respectful of the animals that you hunt and you actually consume them, which people do around here. Not a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of hunting in general, but I do see the need for it, because if we didn't, you know, like deer, we have a huge population of deer here, and if you didn't hunt them, I mean, they would be everywhere, and it would be dangerous to drive. It's already dangerous to drive, you know, because we have people that hit deer all the time, you know, and you see a lot of deer that have been hit, and that's always a bummer, because deer are so beautiful. I love drawing animals in general, and deer are definitely some of my favorite things to draw. Very elegant, very beautiful animals, along with bears, tigers, you name it. Okay, so we've just about wrapped up the drawing aspect of it here. Just a little final. Just a fun kind of a curmudgeon-y character. Let's get that lip right. Let's shade that in slightly. Putting in some little final details here before I get on to the watercolor side of things. I might just do a really quick pen over, you know, like a pen over. So whenever I go to actually do the watercolor, that gives a little bit of definition of the forms. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. So what I'm going to do, just so you guys don't get bored, and because this focus is for the Fuumuui brush set and the painting aspect of it, I'm going to go and put you on time lapse while I ink this really quick. And then we'll get started on the actual drawing. Give him a little cleft in his chin here. Okay, so enjoy the time lapse. Okay, so I've got this inked in really quick. Now, you can see the blue line, and I typically like to have the blue line inside of the illustration. However, in this context, since we are focusing on the Fuumuui brushes and you know, just the clean line, I'm going to try something a little bit different. So I use a plastic eraser. The plastic eraser doesn't mar up the tooth of the paper, and it's important because you don't want to destroy your drawing or painting surface. Now, paper in and of itself does have a limitation to how much stuff you can do to it before it starts coming apart. This particular watercolor paper that I'm using today is really durable, and since it is in a block, I don't have to worry about, you know, issues, and it is thick enough. So this is made by Strathmore. It's acid free, and you know, it's some of their best paper. Watercolor blocks are a little more expensive because the paper is a little more high end, but you get a better presentation and a better piece of artwork. Now, do you have to go out and buy expensive products and expensive things to make art? Absolutely not. You can buy whatever you want and you'll still be able to make art, because at the end of the day, stuff like brushes, stuff like paper, stuff like pen and ink, you know, even this brush or even this pen that I used, right, is not, it's permanent, right? And that's another consideration. You have to buy inks and pens that aren't water soluble, because you start putting watercolor on there, you're going to get a bleed. So basically, I'm just going back and I'm erasing some of the, or if not all of, indication of those blue lines from the Col Erase pencil. And you can see that even it is a very gentle eraser, it still takes a little bit of that ink off. And that's completely fine. Kind of give it a rustic vibe. So that's just a really quick character for you guys, and I'm going to start doing some watercolor painting. Now, most of the time whenever you do watercolor, it's important to note that having a flat surface is good unless you want runs. So what I might do, just for posterity, I might put this down a little bit further so I don't have any runs, because, you know, I don't want to get the runs. Oh gosh, that's so funny. This is so funny, getting the runs. Okay, that's not funny. Getting the runs is not funny, especially as it applies to watercolor application, unless that's what you're going for. So we're going to stop erasing and we're going to break out the brushes. Woohoo! brushes. What? That's what the video's about. So what I like to do is I like to have my brushes accessible. Now this particular set does not have the opportunity to stand them up like this, right? That would be cool if they did. That would be sweet. But at the end of the day, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have these off to the side over here on the left, as I've got so much stuff here. So much stuff. That's one of the people comment, "Man, your desk is a disaster area." And I'm like, shut your hole. No, I didn't say that. I go, well, yeah, it is a mess. I do the best that I can. Okay, and we're going to be using the watercolors from Winsor & Newton today. These are really high quality watercolor, and you got the little cakes. It's a little cake on watercolor cakes in here. We are going to be using the brush that included with this. We're going to be using the Fuumuui brushes today, but I just wanted to again give you context, as in terms. A lot of people ask, what materials are you using? What this? If I buy those materials, then I can draw or paint like you. And I'm like, yes, you can. No, I'm just kidding. At the end of the day, like I said, all of these things are just tools, and whatever tool that you find works for you, definitely latch onto that with both hands and continue using it for as long as you can. Oops, we forgot one last little spot, one there at the end of his nose. We don't want him to have the boogies. No boogies. Okay, so first thing probably I'm going to do is block in general just color. Now, I don't like painting on white, and there's a reason for this, because painting on white to me really, you're fighting. It's like you're trying to put in the darkest darks and the lightest lights, and then you have to find that mid-tone. So if this was toned paper, then it would be a little bit more my jam. But that being said, I think today we're going to probably start out with the wedge. So the wedge is nice because it's got a tapered into it, and again, I like how light these are, and the width of the shaft is really good. I like the shaft. So we're just gonna go in, we're gonna do some watercolor paint, right? We're gonna block in some color, and then we're gonna block in some shadows, and then we're gonna put in some highlights with maybe some acrylic, all using the Fuumuui brushes. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. This party started using the brush set here. The way I've got my stuff set up, it's very streamlined. This is probably not the way that you want to do things. At first, watercolor's messy. It can be, and once it gets on your clothes, it doesn't come out. So, yeah, definitely get your stuff set up that works for you. Okay, so we're going to probably use these two brushes, the 12 and 10, and possibly some of the more detailed brushes that are in here. I'm not going to use any of the wide brushes today unless I want to do like a really wide value in the back. But I think to start, we're going to use the flat brush. Like I said, I'm using the Winsor & Newton Cotman set here, and this is probably, I mean, like I said, I've had this for a while, and it's for travel use, So let's go ahead and get that brush nice. Now, what I've noticed is the brushes soak up the paint very well. Okay, so we're just going to start painting. Again, everybody's got a different methodology to what they do, how they use this, and this is by no means the quote-unquote perfect way of doing things. I do things in a way that's different than, say, another artist, and that's perfectly okay. We all have our methodologies of doing things. Let's get a little bit of ochre, not ochre. I'm using ochre right now. Let's go ahead and use a little bit of a brown wash. Let's get that in there. right? A little bit darker. Put that up there. Not trying to, again, be super attentive to the details just yet. We're not there yet. This is a simple block in of color. And the fact that they provide a myriad of different sizes makes this job very easy. I mean, you can see very quickly that you can get some really nice effects. Let's get a little bit of warmth in there. Let's do this a little bit darker. Yeah. And that banding up top needs to be darker. Let's get a little bit of crimson in there. A little bit of crimson. Crimson, crimson. Yeah, there we go. That's nice. And with watercolor, it's okay if you go off the go off the rails a little bit. Watercolor is very forgiving. Get a little bit of red in here, right there. That's good. A little bit of here and there. And since I'm not using any Frisket film, Frisket being that masking film that you place over, and I'm not using any masking fluid, I do need to be conscious of where I'm placing the paint. Right, it is important. Here, a little bit darker right here. I just love the way watercolor looks. And with these Fuumuui brushes, I mean, look at that. I'm getting right to the edge, no problem. Very nice. Okay. Let's go and get a little bit darker now. We're going to go darker. A little bit more water. Maybe put a little blue in there. Be careful because brown and blue, right, typically turns out like a weird green color. Yeah, these brushes are phenomenal. And like I said, whenever it comes to watercolor, it's very forgiving. And you have to remember to use the paper to your advantage. What does that mean, to your advantage? It means that, like right here, I don't want to go in and block that entire area in and come back and try to put in those highlights. I'm using the paper as the highlight, if that makes sense to you. Hopefully it does. And that's what's nice about this particular brush. This is kind of the the brush that I always go to, because I can get really nice fine lines here. You see that? I get nice fine lines, and I can get some really quick detailed areas. Yeah, see, I'm dangerously close to getting a run. Here's the note, don't get the runs. Right? We don't like the runs. Okay, make that a little bit darker because that's the underside of the brim of his hat. Yeah, there we go, that's not bad. Okay, so now we're going to wash that out. Okay. Yep. I love synthetics. Naturals are good, but synthetics are really good. They last for a very long time. And I always like to come back and I kind of brush, I feel. Right, I've got my paper towel here. I've got two things of water, so I dip the first. I do a first rinse, and then I do a secondary rinse, so I don't have any remaining paint left over. So let's go down. We're going to do blue for his jacket. Again, this is a wash. A wash. Let's go ahead and do this. It's been a while since I've used these watercolors, but they still work fine. Okay, so let's do this. There. Okay. A little bit more. Right, maybe he has a white shirt on. We'll get to that in just a minute. Let that paint soak in. Yeah, a little bit darker right here, and a little bit darker right there, so on and so forth. A little bit more saturation. I'm going to add a little bit of like a royal blue. I think that's I forget the name of it. I want to say alizarin. I'm pretty sure that's wrong. So a little bit of indication of some shadowing right here, maybe. Just quick. I mean, literally, when you've got these, brushes like this, you can get just a... It's nice to have a heat gun, too, if you got one of those, because you can dry the paint so it doesn't get the runs. Watch out with the runs. Yeah, that's a beautiful, beautiful saturation. Yeah, it's good to move around, too, especially... That's what I was talking about whenever you have it up like this, and you don't get pooling, right? Which is fine. I mean, that's sometimes you want that. Just depends on what you want to do. Okay, so let's go back. Let's look at this. This area needs a little bit of shadowing. So again, I go to my water, secondary, and I like the fact the shaft is longer. Because, whenever I go and put it in the jar, I have brushes that have short shafts, long shafts, and the fact that they've pretty much kept the shaft, if you look, very uniform. The widths are uniform, except for the really small brushes, right? Which is really cool. Yeah, so far this is a good. For those of you who don't know who I am and are watching this review, my name is Michael Clarida. I'm an illustrator, artist. I have been so for close to 25 years, working in the entertainment and gaming, not gaming, I have worked on games, but in the entertainment industry. Okay, a little bit of brown. And primarily as a toy designer for the past 6 years, and product designer. I've really enjoyed doing product design. Product design speaks to me in ways because it has to do with the human condition and what people buy, right? I was an apparel designer for years, and I had to learn a lot about what people, their buying habits. Because to be a successful apparel designer, you have to follow fashion trends. You have to understand times of the year. You have to understand color. Presentation, you have to design understand a myriad of different things. And it really afforded me to work for a lot of different companies, from Disney to Pixar to Warner Brothers to Sony Entertainment to national parks to NASA. I have worked for a lot of companies, and I've enjoyed every minute. It has been a fantastic ride. So let's do this. Yeah, a little bit of a shadow. One of the things you don't do, and this is something that I talk about a lot, is using black. Black is a color killer. It will kill your color, and it will do it with a smile. So just be careful whenever you use black. Very sparingly do I use any type of black, or white for that matter. White kills color as well. But I said it's a good, being a Nintendo reference, because I also work for Nintendo. I've done so doing some of their collectibles. So that's always a lot of fun. So what I'm going to do, while you guys can watch the process here, because at the end of the day, I don't want this video to be like 2 hours long. We're going to put you guys on time lapse, and you can see the application of paint, and you can see the wonderfulness that is the Fuumuui brush set. All right, time lapse. And that pretty much wraps up today's painting slash review. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. So what do I think of the Fuumuui paintbrushes? There they are right there. I think it's a great purchase for 30 bucks, man. And there's discount codes and links in the description below. For that kind of money, you really can't go wrong. You know, even like I said, if it's a spare set and, you know, if you're a professional and you go through brushes like lightning and you don't really care about which one is your quote unquote favorite brush, then I think you definitely wouldn't, you know, you wouldn't make a mistake purchasing these brushes. So yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. This wasn't a tutorial. This wasn't a watercolor demonstration. This wasn't any of that. I did this video primarily to test out the Fuumuui brushes. And from what I can tell, you know, they did exactly what they advertised. Over the long haul, do I think that, you know, if you were to purchase this, you know, 5 years from now, are you going to have some of the same brushes? I don't know. You know, comparatively speaking, whenever I look at the quality of these brushes to some of the brushes that I have in my archives, I would think yes, but only time will tell, right? That's the honest opinion. If you guys like videos like this, you know, me doing watercolor traditional art and just kind of going through and explaining stuff, definitely leave a description or leave a comment in the description below. And, you know, we'll try to work in some of those videos as well. So thank you guys for visiting the channel. Hopefully you got something today. If anything, you got to watch, you know, you got to watch me, you know, have some fun, right? So thank you guys for showing up. And if you like what you see, definitely like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, because what I'm seeing is some people that visit the channel, actually 90% of the people that visit the channel are new. And that's awesome. I think that that's fantastic. But I would like to service my existing subscribers, you know, if they hit that bell, and they can watch some of the videos too. So thank you guys, and we'll see you next time. Again, thank you guys. Thanks to Fuumuui for providing these brushes, you know, to me. And they're just a great company, good customer service. You know, we went back and forth for quite a while trying to land on exactly what was going to work in the context of my workflow. So thank you, Fuumuui, and we'll see you next time. All right.